Welcome to the Upper Coquitlam River.
Wow, this is a pretty neat river.
Sure is.
Do you know what kind it is?
No, but I do know how we can find out. First, let's open up the old Google Earth to see what we can see.
The Upper Coquitlam River flows from Coquitlam Lake, eventually ending up in the Fraser River. This is the reach we took a look at, accessing the stream through the Crystal Falls hiking trail.
Looks like the stream has a pretty low sinuosity due to the fact that it's not super windy. Next, we can take a look at where the stream is in relation to the watershed.
This map shows the Coquitlam watershed. We're right here, in the mid to lower region of the watershed.
The river has residential areas on either side. We see here that the area to the west of the stream is riddled with quarries and tailing ponds. There is also a dam located at the top of the river where it meets Coquitlam Lake. The dam regulates the flow leaving the lake, which can dampen peak flows, cut off fish passage, and control the sediment load entering the stream.
Now that we've done some snooping from above, let's get down on the ground for some up-close and personal intel with Jayme the River Guide.
Jayme the River Guide.
Since we know this reach of the stream is in the mid to lower region of the watershed, it's also in the middle of what we call the stream's longitudinal profile. Without even looking at a map, we can tell this because of visual clues such as the larger substrate size and the fact that the channel is fairly wide and deep, but not too wide and deep.
Are you telling me that once we know where a stream is in a watershed, we automatically know more about how the stream acts?
I sure am. For example, since this is in the middle of the longitudinal profile, the stream is fairly unstable.
Well, what else can we tell from looking at a stream?
All sorts of things. An easy one are the stream's depth and width. Channel width varies throughout the reach, but I'd say the average bankful width is about 10 meters across, and the average bankful depth is approximately 1 meter.
The current channel depth is about half a meter, but the depth varies from spot to spot across the stream. The water levels are currently low due to the time of year and the fact that we're nearing the end of a seasonal drought. Don't worry, only 2 feet were soaked in the making of this film. I have another question. I know you can often see a stream's floodplain from Google Earth, but I could barely see anything for this one. Why is that?
Often Google Earth can be a useful tool to help determining floodplain width, but heavy vegetation in the area makes it difficult to see from above. Also, since the slopes on either side of this stream are quite steep, the floodplain itself is pretty small. Here's another fun fact. A stream's power can be determined by which grain size appears most often.
Here we have a variety of grain sizes, from smaller sand and gravel, to cobbles, to larger cobbles, and even larger boulders. We determined cobbles and gravels to be the dominant substrate material in this reach of the stream. I think a lot of these boulders were likely deposited during glacial retreat because of the moss on top.
I think you're right. In some places, the stream splits in two, creating multiple channels with vegetated islands in between.
So I see lots of riparian vegetation like trees, shrubs, and grasses. Isn't all this vegetation supposed to help with bank stability and aid in erosion control? I noticed some spots along the bank that looked like they're being eroded during high flow periods, leading to some undercut banks.
It looks like the rooting depth of the vegetation in those areas isn't deep enough. At least with all the trees in the riparian zone, there is a good steady supply of large woody debris, which provides complexity in the stream.
This stream is likely to experience low-frequency, high-magnitude events based on the channel's low sinuosity and large grain size, and the fact that the stream is relatively unstable. I also see that there are residential areas and development right up to the edge of the river, and some retaining walls have been put in to prevent the stream from moving laterally. Are there any other human impacts we can see around here?
The Crystal Falls hiking trail that we came in on runs parallel to the left bank of the river in some spots. This trail is a popular place for people to recreate and enjoy the scenery. There are other signs of human disturbance as well, such as invasive species. Of course, there's also the dam and industrial area upstream, and those have negative impacts on the river as well.
Well, it's nice that even though the area is urbanized and heavily trafficked by hikers, fish and wildlife still use it. We saw deer mice, garter snakes, red-legged frogs, western toads, a few different bird species, and even a little baby coho salmon. Aw, look at him go. Adorable.
Not to mention all the invertebrates and microorganisms that use the stream as well.
So, with all this information, what did we discover?
Well, we know that the main substrate types are gravel and cobble. We also know that there are fairly steep banks on either side of the channel. Our reach of stream is somewhere in the middle of the watershed, and we can tell it has low sinuosity by looking at the Google Earth image.
So, according to Montgomery and Buffington, our stream is most likely a planebed channel. These channels are characterized by a combination of riffles, rapids, and runs. They're usually quite straight with a low sinuosity and can be confined by valley walls. And they usually have gravels and cobbles as the dominant substrate. Planebed channels have a gradient between 2 and 4%.
Still think it's a pretty neat stream?
Even neater than before. Jayme the River Guide.